Hello, my friends. Good morning. This is Carrie Freeman. You've reached My Left Ear. My Left Ear is a left-leaning YouTube channel, and I do political and psychic commentary here, and I throw the runes with some questions. And welcome. It's called My Left Ear because aside from the runes, I get a lot of messages, psychic messages, from this side, my left ear. So that's what I'm referring to with my left ear. When I'm not doing the videos, I see clients privately. I do psychic coaching and clinical hypnotherapy, or therapeutic hypnosis, as I call it, and through Zoom or in person. I'm in sunny California. It's beautiful here. And I have a Patreon channel where I do all kinds of different fun things from week to week. Patreon.com/Carrie Freeman. And I'm an author. And sometimes I talk about my books, and I will. But all the information is down below if you want to reach me, my email, and even my phone number. So here I go. I've been looking at the news. I've been looking at the headlines. And I'm disseminating some information today and adding commentary. It is for entertainment purposes only. And the first thing I want to say is Happy Mother's Day. I'm a mother to Petey. Most of you have met Petey. But I'm not a mother to a human. But I think it's the hardest job on the planet. My mother is not with me. My father is not with me. So my mother's name was Helen. I'm going to try to find a picture of her and post it. I looked a lot like my mother. I look a lot like my mother. So I'll have to find that. Mom was like a fantastic conversationalist and listener. And people were constantly seeking her out just to talk. And she could talk to anybody. She came to stay with me once after my father died. And she went down to my laundry room to help me with the laundry. And she was gone forever. And she came back and said, "Oh, I met your neighbor in the laundry room. We had such good talk and we're invited up tomorrow night." And I was like, "Mom, I've never even met that person." But she did that. She made friends everywhere. It was very funny. I got a big kick out of it. All right, so now I'm going to begin because there were a lot of things that happened last week. And I didn't jump on them. I just wanted to process. That's what I do sometimes. I just take it in. There was a lot to take in. So I'm just going to mention E.Jean Carroll first. I would say most people know that she had a civil case against Donald Trump that had to do with defamation and a rape that occurred many years ago. So she won the case. And the jury was out like for 2.5 to 3 hours at the most. She was awarded $5 million. You probably know all this. But I want to comment on something here about her. I'm going to talk about that CNN rodeo that happened with Donald Trump in a minute, where he defames her again. So here's the thing. He went on CNN, Trump, and he talked trash the day after she won the lawsuit. So then everybody was, on Twitter like, she can sue. Well, legally, she can sue. She can go right back in and sue again because he was just found guilty of defamation. He goes in the very next day and defames her. So the question for me, because my left ear has had an overall feeling about this since she won. But I'm going to read to you a couple of rooms I pulled. So my question was, will E.Jean Carroll sue Trump again for defamation? And I pulled the rune of joy in the reversed position. So that indicates movement that appears to be blocked. It says not all possibilities are open to you, to her, and not all opportunities are appropriate. My left ear feels that she's exhausted. The woman is just exhausted, and her attorney might be all ready to go in for another lawsuit, but I'm not sure that E.Jean is. She's also a very smart, spiritual, fair-minded person, where she's always thinking of other people. But then I got the blank rune. I just want to finish here. The blank rune, which I get a lot, is unknowable. And it says blank is the beginning, blank is the end. So it's the end of that first lawsuit, which was successful. And if she wants to, it can be the beginning of her new life, where she feels vindicated, or the beginning of starting another lawsuit. So she is considering, there are talks. I'm not sure she's going to do it. My left ear is not certain she's going to do it. She is also a woman of common sense. And because she is exhausted, and to go right back into it, I have doubts. I suspect that she will not sue him again. I suspect that she's going to leave this up to his karma. And honestly, who am I? But if I was consulting with her, I'd say, live your life now. Take in the goodness from what you earned. You earned your place in history. Enjoy that. That's my left ear. All right. So I'm going to read you something about this CNN debacle with Trump that, if you are on Twitter, you saw it got the nastiest reviews. I mean, people just hated CNN. They just hated everything about it. Really, really buried CNN. I didn't watch it, by the way, because I knew I would learn all about it. And watching Trump upsets me in that I really think it's bad for my health. So I see no reason why to get my blood pressure up and hear the same things and go to bed disgusted. So I stayed away, and I chose peace. But I saw clips, and I saw how bad it was, and I read everybody. And by the way, there were a lot of well-known pundits and people that are on MSNBC that weigh in, experts. And some of these people wrote things like, I watched for 10 minutes and I turned it off. It was too awful. I couldn't take it. A famous attorney that is on MSNBC said, I'm actually worried for our country. I couldn't watch it. So there was a lot of that. But then there was a report, and here I'm embarrassed because I don't have the name of the reporter. I failed to write it down, so I apologize, my bad. But this was in writing. So it says, the most telling part of last night was not the town hall, but the focus group that CNN did in the 10:30 hour. They had 8 people that were present at the town hall, and they asked if anybody thought that Trump exceeded expectations. Nobody thought he did. They all said, yeah, this is Trump. This is kind of what we expected. Nothing that we haven't really heard before. And then the reporter says, you had a lot of women in that group really express how difficult it was to hear him talk about the terrible judgment and his liability in the E.Jean Carroll case. The reporter wrote, I thought that was amazing. And then at the end, the moderator said, who here is ready to vote for Trump in 24? And only one hand went up. So the reporter says, I think that was very telling. I do too. Now, there are also reports, I have something to say about Jon Stewart in a minute. There was canned laughter, which is, it's not news. I mean, that was propaganda, if that's true. And I've read it in more than one places, including Jon Stewart. Canned laughter. came up when he was putting down E.Jean Carroll, saying he doesn't know her, she's a whack job, blah, blah, blah. It was just the same of what he always does. Now, I'm going right into the middle of my presentation today and telling you good evidence about Ukraine. Germany on Saturday, that would be last Saturday, announced its largest weapons package yet for Ukraine, promising more tanks, armored vehicles, and substantial air defense systems that Ukraine is anticipating for their counter-offensive that looms. Then in addition, yesterday, the United Kingdom, I'm just reading off the news, the United Kingdom has delivered multiple Storm Shadow cruise missiles to Ukraine, giving the nation a new long-range strike capability in advance of a highly anticipated counteroffensive against Russian forces. So that's really good. Now, UK Defense Secretary Ben Wallace called the donation to Ukraine the best chance to defend themselves against Russia's continued brutality. The Storm Shadow is a long-range cruise missile with stealth capabilities. Yes. So I did do a runes question. I just accepted the first rune, which I do often, by the way. I get one rune and I go, okay, that's the answer. So I said, will new missiles and arms help Ukraine prevail? That's the word I used. And I got harvest. Harvest is the rune of beneficial outcomes. And it relates to the harvest of a field or shoots that are coming up. So it could be up to 1 year, which is disappointing. No quick results, which is disappointing. But we can't speed up the win. This is good. This is good. Let's just wait and watch. Now I'm going to get to Jon Stewart. And a lot of people on Twitter suggested Jon Stewart should have done that interview, not Caitlin Collins. Jon Stewart, that would have been incredible to watch. However, CNN, from everything I've read, let the Trump people call the shots. And he picked Caitlin Collins. He didn't pick Jabe Tapper. He didn't pick Mehdi Hassan. So that's she was over her skis. Most people would be. He's very difficult to manage. I would say he's unmanageable, but Jon Stewart would have been really interesting. So this is what Jon Stewart wrote on Twitter. I'm just going to share this with you because he's so brilliant. The problem with the Trump town hall wasn't platforming or a fragile, siloed audience, as Anderson Cooper called everybody, including me, or a fragile, siloed audience unable to be exposed to newsworthy opinions antithetical to their own. That wasn't the case with me. I am nauseated by Donald Trump. I wasn't afraid. The problem, Jon Stewart says, was an event that was clearly negotiated to Trump's approval and owed to access. They wanted access to him. So all of that applause Trump got at his CNN Live Fest was preordained, just like I just told you. Even for his remarks about sexual assault and January 6th. CNN didn't just platform Donald Trump based upon this reporting. They kissed his lying ass. Jon Stewart. So Jon Stewart goes on, imagining a meeting between Trump and CNN negotiating this town hall. So now he's being sarcastic. We promise, good sir, we are no longer fake news or an enemy of the people. Let us prove that to you. We are fair and good and will do this however you would like. Just come back, sir. I was being very sarcastic. So finally, Jon Stewart says, I learned nothing from this town hall about Trump and his most ardent supporters. I haven't known since two supporters I haven't known. He was saying that he learned nothing about the town hall and his most ardent supporters that he didn't already know in 2016. If I didn't make that clear, I'm sorry. But he said, but I learned a lot about CNN. He's brilliant. He's a national asset. Now I'm going to get to the guy that I really dislike intensely, that I think we should be very afraid of, and that I'm very against in a very passionate way, which is Ron DeSantis. I can't tell you how dangerous I know. I'm not even going to say think. This guy is so dangerous. So he's low in the polls right now, really trailing Donald Trump. But I'm going to read to you some stuff about him. Lags in early national polling. And then I wrote, Rhonda Kinky Boots is under attack by Donald Trump. And donors keep getting cold feet about giving him money for 2024. Okay, so that's interesting. However, this is what they're saying right now. On the ground, there is encouraging metric for DeSantis after he toured the country the past several months. The size of his crowds, and that could serve as evidence of enthusiasm for his candidacy as he prepares to soon launch a presidential campaign. So they say. He hasn't done it yet. He has sold out venues, broken local fundraising records, although some billionaires are pulling out. They're like he's gone too far. So he's forced organizers to move into larger spaces because he sold out venues. I want to say something about this. I think people are curious to see if there's an alternative. I don't know that it's a sign their people are showing up. I think they want to check him out. All right. Now the latest is the fascist, I call him a fascist, Ron DeSantis, sit down because this is really shocking, has signed a bill allowing medical providers to deny service to prospective patients or refuse to perform certain procedures based on their moral or ethical beliefs. That's not the HIPAA. That's not HIPAA. That's not, what doctors are supposed to be doing. All right. So the new law, known as the Protections of Medical Conscience Act, passed the Republican legislature, even though it does not define what constitutes a moral or ethical belief. They just threw those words out there. Under the law, which goes into effect July 1st, any medical provider, including doctors, nurses, ambulance drivers, pharmacists, mental health professionals, or lab technicians, as well as nursing home workers and hospital administrators, may refuse to provide care to patients if doing so would violate their conscience. Insurance companies also enjoy the right to deny care based on any moral, ethical, or religious objections. Healthcare professionals, this is very depressing to read, are also empowered to refuse to conduct research, update medical records, conduct testing, or draw blood, or even make referrals if they believe doing so would enable a patient to make decisions or take actions that violate their provider's personal, moral, ethical, or religious beliefs. All right, take a deep breath, because that's pretty awful. It's really awful. All right, so this is my left ear. I just wrote it down, okay? So I'm going to read what I wrote. My left ear has doubts about DeSantis making it to a run for president. Now, I know that sounds shocking. It goes against what everybody's expecting, but I've been carrying around an odd thought that I didn't share with anybody. And when I say an odd thought, I think it's got to be coming from my left ear. But I told a friend of mine who is very psychic, intuitive, smart as hell. I told her what I'm going to share with you. And she said, "Oh, Carrie, I can totally see that." Then I told someone else who has a political podcast, not like YouTube, but he thought it was very interesting. So let me read this now that I've explained that. I have doubts about DeSantis making it to run for the president. Donors are alarmed at his fascist choices, just like what I read you. Numerous reports describe his terrible people skills and how he does not connect well or make eye contact. He has no warmth, no charm. When he went to Europe, that's what they all said after they met with him. Like, this guy is a dud. But it hasn't really come on that global stage that it does when you're running for president. His coldness and lack of humor, he has none, and hate for minorities are in stark contrast to Joe Biden. And what the experts say is that a presidential run is always about contrasts. And Joe Biden provides an amazing contrast to Donald Trump, to Ron DeSantis, in a good way. And there's one last thing, like, I don't ever find Donald Trump amusing, but a lot of people like his reality show personality, which is just stupid. But Ron Kinky Boots cannot touch Donald Trump's so-called entertainment value. When people that love Trump are now looking at DeSantis possibly, they're like, he's not fun. He's not a laugh riot. This is one boring, dull guy. So anyway, we're going to keep an eye on Ron DeSantis because I think it's so serious. He's just, I can't even tell you. He's so bad. Now I'm having a brain lapse. I don't think I told you this wild idea. So excuse me if I did, because I'm just having this brain lapse right now. I think I told you, but so I apologize. We all have these brain lapses, right? Once in a while. That somehow Trump won't run and DeSantis won't be able to run. That everybody's counting on this, writing about it, talking about it. And there may be just some fallout. So I'm not taking it for granted that these guys are going to be viable in 2024. We will see. For a bunch of different reasons. I'll pick it up later. Now I'm going to the debt ceiling as I come to an end here. Will they figure it out before June 1st? Because everybody is freaking out because it's so serious. So I pulled runes. And I pulled the rune of the self. And the message of this rune is that its essence is water and fluidity, which is good. It tells us only clarity and willingness to change is effective now. That's a little confusing because we do not think the GOP can change. But it does say it's a time of major growth and rectification. And that does not sound like the crash of our debt. Then I pulled partnership. It's a very good rune. So it tells us a partnership is in some form in some form is at hand, which tells me they're going to come to some kind of resolution before everything tanks and before people lose their 401k and their Social Security and on and on and on. I mean, this is really dire. And the GOP raised the debt ceiling, I think, 3 times for Donald Trump, and now they won't do it. And what it's about is they want Joe Biden to fail. And many of them are willing to let the entire United States tank and suffer financially, and that's you and that's me, for the sake of beating Joe Biden. That's the bottom line. I think you know that. But the partnership is at hand, but it warns, do not collapse yourself into that union. Keep space. Well, that's an automatic. They're not going to bond. They're not going to, but they may arrive, and I think they will, at a solution that's going to save us from collapse. And the partnership has no reverse. It has no reverse. There's no negative. It's a gift of freedom. That's what they call it. So I'm going to be a betting person and say that they're going to take us to the brink, scare the hell out of us, and then it won't happen. And then if it happens, you can like unsubscribe because you're so upset with me. But don't do that. All right, now we're going to get to the quotes. And this one popped out at me. It's very simple, but it is by German Jewish American psychologist, very famous guy, Erik Erikson. He said, "We need each other. And the sooner we learn that, the better for us all." And he said that a long time ago. We need each other. And the sooner we learn that, the better for us all. So I wanted to share that. And I think the last thing I just want to share, I'm just thinking about Ukraine and how wonderful and amazing and strong and determined and resolute all those people are, the Ukrainians. Unbelievable. Well, I came across a video yesterday of a forklift driver, in a giant forklift, coming to the edge of a canal or some kind of lake or something, and that big thing that they have that they control that picks up dirt, that giant claw, goes into the water, comes out nothing, goes into the water, comes out nothing, and then comes out with a ball of something. All right, just this big, like, what is that? Takes it over to the cement, drops it off, and the little ball, and it was a hedgehog. So a Ukrainian forklift driver heard about this hedgehog was drowning and went over and saved it with his forklift. So I want to leave you with something really sweet and positive this week. And I will talk to you soon. Tomorrow's Mother's Day. Make peace, make good memories, and let's just keep the faith. I want to ask you something, if you're still with me. If every one of you that watch me asks one friend or one person to subscribe to my channel, that would help me enormously. So the suggestion is that you find one person that you think might enjoy me, like me, and you say, do me a favor, subscribe to her. They don't have to turn on the bell so they're bothered, but it would help me. YouTube would love me more. Okay, that's what I want to share with you. And I'm talented in a lot of ways, but I'm not talented at marketing. A lot of very creative people are not talented at marketing. So that's me. That's something I'm not good at, and I don't enjoy it. There we go. I am finally saying goodbye. Have a great weekend and keep the faith, okay? Bye-bye.